I'm about to start a new Super Castlevania 4 RomHack project. I'm about to take a user by the hand and show him how you get started on something like this. So, how should I guide? Let's see if we type Super Castlevania editor, maybe. You should automatically come to a site like this where you can read how the editor got made. And there's a lot of stuff, and if you read through, it might be very complicated. So I go back, type maker, and then you will most likely end up something I made. It's on the same page. As not the same page, I did link this page because I put my tutorial on the page that Red Guy, the creator of Super Castlevania 4 editor, started, and I did make this overview of the functions, and just this is the first overview you can get, so you see what's possible in the editor. You see you can edit palettes, and there is tiles. We'll get into that later, how to do this, but you can create new graphics. Maybe I can show you, no, not really, but you can draw things, and I set up a tool, Tile Molester, to make creating new tiles easier, or just rework some sprites. There's just an example how I imported something as a proof of concept, so it's possible. And the scene editor, block editor, how you create actually the scenes. Yeah, and how you get this stuff. I think the best thing is we start at the very beginning, how you get a ROM without getting any viruses. If you type something like ROM, don't. I think you should be familiar with what a ROM is, like it's the image of the cartridge. And you need this file to play it on an emulator. And they are not legal. But if you just press on something like try to get some viruses here, maybe just click here to start download. Hopefully it is an exe file. That's sure wrong. You get things like this. I think a lot of users are already stuck at this point where they give up and are afraid to do anything. I did download my ROM via torrent. I think it's the cleanest way, but you can get the ROM just with the direct download. Let's try to get something. I mean, you can download a file and you see what it is, and I can show you how you find out if you got the ROM or not. I think this is for an exe file, and you see this. You may not see those extensions. I had set it up in the file explorer. Then we go to the next side. And Emo Paradise or something like this, they're like closed down. They don't give you the ROMs to download, but there are still sites up where you can just download it directly. The Emo Paradise, it was a very good site, but doesn't have any rooms anymore. Yeah, the best way would be just download the whole package via torrent, I think. Now I have to zip here, and then we will see what we got. Hey, there is a extension SFC or SMC. or extensions for the files. You can see those checksums. You can, let's see if we can find out what they have information on the ROM, but I can't see it here either. But I made this hack here, and this is the checksum with no intro. Let's see if this file actually matches. It says no, it does not, and it seems to be a little bigger than the ROM actually is. To show, I open the file in a hex editor, and I will have all these tools I use below in the description. But you see the first 200 bytes, this is a header file. There is a header in there. If we would just remove this and save this file as unheadered, maybe. So we see, you can name it however you want it. And me, I cannot type right. Well, but then we check again. And we see we got actually the right file. We can use both, but just to make sure that you get the right file, since Super Castlevania 4 editor just can edit the US version. And in the tutorial, I should have download links. Oh no, I made this page with the download links. So you can just click on the links and get all the files you need to get started. And if you have questions, I would suggest you make an account on this RomHacking forum. And you go to the page I created, and I may help you if I have trouble. But here you see I linked the randomizer that Red Guy made, or the level editor. You can just click on it and it will download you the file. It's a zip file. Then you extract this, and this is just an executable that you just start up like this. And within this you can open your ROM. You can open both. You can use this or or use the unheadered. I always use the unheadered. Maybe better go with this. Yeah, let's start with the new project. I will just set up this folder, put my ROM in it. Then we go from there. I will use the ROM with the right name, so I will see you later, because Tile Molester is stupid and it needs the same name, or it will always use different resources. Not stupid. Do I have? Just take a ROM, put it in here. I can close the rest here. If you have this, if you have extracted the editor, you open it, as I said already, and then you open the file in the right directory. I just made it from my root directory so I can access it more easy, because I don't know, just how I like it. Most users just prefer probably the Windows made things, but as I install tools and things, and this Windows pre-made things all get cluttered and I don't find anything. So I always make my own directory. You have to set up your emulator. Like the internal emulator, it needs a little bit of setup, like the controller. This is very good for playtesting. That is how you can just start it with this play button. Doesn't have a preview or you just started it here. And the settings, you just have the key. I think you know how to set up this. Just press on it and press the button on the controller, so it will map correctly. And you can have multiple joypads. Kinda easy. The emulator path. I mean, this button is for the external emulator. You can use any emulator you like. It is very practical to have, so you see, you can actually playtest the ROM in here. I this, I have cheats enabled. I can show you these cheats. You can go to the levels you like to test faster. Sometimes you just need information, or you want to do something in the hex editor and you need to look up something in the debugger. Say, oh, my PPU, what kind of graphics are currently loaded here? So you want to see, oh, the skeleton sprites, and they want to have something else. And you need to use the debugger sometimes. There are things that are very complicated to look up in here, and there are things that are very easy. And this is actually a good place to explain the palettes. As the first palettes is actually for the HUD. Can I show you the HUD in a different? Where do I see it best? Is it in the tilemap viewer? You see the different screens. This custom. Uh, uh, I need preparation for this. So, but I can tell you the first tests are for the HUD, and there are mostly 2 ppp or 4, or they are also used for the backgrounds. And here you see the Simon's sprite. You can actually see it as the right color. For the enemies, and there are 4 palettes that are always loaded, and 3 custom ones for each level. But it's also not the best place to really show it and how to edit it. For this, I think when we come to the point where I explain my resource file on the tile molester, that's the point where we'll get started on palettes. But you can edit those within the Super Castlevania 4 editor. Just as you saw there in the debugger, we have the same palettes. And as we go through the levels, it will load the correct palettes for it. There are not all palettes within the editor. There are levels that use color math, so they load different palettes in a row to make palette animations, or like the Medusa fight, replace Simon's sprite with the gray one, so it looks like stone. And after fact, it will load another palette. So if you make changes to the sprite, you will have to at least edit 2 palettes, or maybe for the cutscenes and things, 4 to 5 palettes to make it look correct everywhere. The tile editor, as I said, will go when we work with Tile Molester. But within you see just the tiles with what you use to create the scene. It looks very messy at first glance, and it's rather tedious to arrange blocks. Mm. But you can create, this is the tiles assembly thing, and you can create blocks which, I know I have not expanded the ROM, so that's another thing. If you just open the ROM, you can edit certain things, like a lot of things, the property, the extra lives, the timer, the palettes. But if it comes to graphics and how they are drawn, they need extra space. And how the creator of the editor made it, he did expand the ROM and allocated all the space for the maps and the graphics allocated in the expanded ROM. So if you want to do level editing, that's the first thing you do, also expanding the ROM, and you will see it will make the ROM bigger, 4 times as big. I think it makes no sense that I go over what you can do without expanding it, since I can tell you later on what I all put in the extended part. The expansion is okay. And if we would close the editor in this state, the ROM is actually not saved. I can show you this because I make some changes to the scene now, like I draw this bigger. I can do this now, I couldn't before. And if I would go and close it and open it again, I have the standard ROM on the drawing. It didn't save. You have to save your project. And as this comes to the next part, I would recommend, I'm on the wrong folder. You have a backup folder, and always, if you worked for an hour or two, or make backup of your file, and don't overwrite it. Just make new files so you have a history. If something goes wrong, you can go back and you can fix things. If you can't do it yourself, you can ask, and somebody asks, have you backups? So could make things easier to fix later. Okay, as we made this, we now do expand the ROM and we save it. And I actually may show it. The file is not yet bigger. It did save. If it would crash, and it would. Now it updated the size. Can I? Here you see it. And in the backup folder is just 1 MB. Events. I couldn't do events before, but now I can create new events. Like make candles, make enemies, make what I want. And this is very complicated at first glance, because there is not what you see is what you get. You can just pick an enemy or whatever. You kind of have to know what is there. Like some levels they have rings, and then you just have to know it's event number 3 and type 2 or 0. That's actually just 2. Then you have a ring. It looks kind of stupid, but then you should see it's actually just a color. So it's very easy fix. If you go to the palette editor, you see it. You don't really see it. I just happen to know. But you will get the hang of things like this. My notes, I started a RomMap. It could help you a bit, but the easiest way to learn things is like just if you go through the level and look what event type. Oh, if you know, oh, I wanted to have something from there, you just look it up. Oh, what it actually is. Hmm. I should actually now explain events a bit better, point for point, what they do. Event editor will automatically hop to the first. It's always 000. If you make any changes to this, the game will be corrupted till you make this event again, because events will get loaded in an order from left to right or bottom to top, depending on the level. And you can use this button to sort them, to bring them in order, because when it goes through now, you will see it hops back and forward. And if I would save and sort emulator, you will see the events will not show up till I loaded the one sprite event in the back there. Now it's spawned and the rest appears. If you use sort, it will bring them just in the order they need to be to get loaded correctly. I have a sub ID. This is actually a conveyor. Oh no, wait. What do I tell? You can barely see that it doesn't work. It's because of the mask. Just add a new one, delete that one, resolve it too. So you could actually use that ring. Okay, we had the event order. You can use the button to go through. You can use the keys to navigate through. The mask, it creates more or less automatically. Some events depend on the correct mask, as you did see. Browser and see what I did right here. You will find the tutorial and I made a backlist. There are different patches you may want. You can read what they do. And I also made this file that's kind of big and stupid right now, but it may help you to go through. You can just download it, or we can maybe browse it in the browser. See how this works. Maybe you can say it's an unorganized mess. You don't need to care about the graphic and palettes because the graphics are mostly done in the tile molester where you can just click on things and edit them. We'll go over that later. But I put some infos in sometimes, like if you go to the events, what I more wanted to show, what the mask actually does. If you have an enemy, for example, 0, it really all depends on what level you are in. You have to look, the best way is to just look what other enemies are, and you can kind of tell what it does. But here I did see it's normal or in the back layer, or so what 0 does, what 4 does, what 8 does, and see on depending on the mask it is a second quest or not second quest. If you have type, depending if it's 0 or 2, there are some events will more likely to respawn or will not respawn. 1 is always a candle and freeze mode is not used. In the first level you cannot have enemies till you get rid of something else that's in it. I think the best thing is to just stick with what you have if you start out anyway. And if you want to have something else in it, you can always use a patch. And patches you will find, like, where did I have it? I made patches somewhere. Like different enemies, different levels. Chat don't ask questions. Maybe it would be better if somebody would just ask questions so I can answer them. So we had the type, the position is clear, the event ID is more or less clear too, since I could show it here. I did list them. It doesn't make much sense that you go through here, since you better remember where they were in the game. But when you go through here, you see what everything is. And if you have an event ID you're interested in, like bosses, and you want to know where they are, sometimes it helps to have it in the document. Yeah, till 7F, there are every ID is actually used. The later ones too, but they're more used by bosses. I don't know what they really are, but they mostly just crash the game because they are used in a programming purpose. Maybe not, but you see the ID is actually, if you make it to 12, it will be a skeleton that throws bones or not. You can click on those, and if you know the game, you actually know what they are. If you don't know what an event does, you can also look it up in the file I made there. So it actually does help, I think. Download the files like the RomMap. There is a link on the Dropbox. You don't have to use it in the browser, and you can set it up for you. Like, let's say I open it now locally, and there is more help to it if you set it up for you correctly. And since now you have open like this, you can always also click on the pictures I made, and some actually explain more in depth what the things are. Like, if you go to the property menu, you see that you can actually adjust how far things scroll. And there's just a little help to the oh, it opened more. The crusher, maybe I think I overdid it a little, but I just made picture of every event. Maybe you need it for some reason to see what property they are made of. If you want to look it up, and you don't have to go in the ROM back and forward. On some events, really, I made it for those events where it really makes sense to have a picture. And for sure, I don't remember which ones are, but the exits is a good thing to show. It's this one. It just shows you if you have the event 15 open, you have a sub ID, and this sub ID is can edit here. Yeah, and just actually it doesn't really need it. I think it's self-explanatory. It explains a lot itself, but sometimes it helps to look at it and that, oh yeah, that's how it works. So I didn't figure out how to make global, but you can replace those. You didn't need. Just point to the right folder where the pictures are that you downloaded. So now we made the event editor first. We have event ID, sub ID. I covered two a bit. In the newest, those two things are two different things, and depending on what editor you use. If you use the newest one, this down here will always be free, and the candles will change the item depending on sub ID. In an older version, sub ID, it's kind of stupid. Since sub ID is now used for if the candle needs to be in the background or not. Like this is 0, this is 8. And there's so many details to actually explain. And I was thinking a lot how to make a proper tutorial or proper document, but I'm just not really capable of doing all this somehow. That's why I was thinking it is important that we have like a Discord where you can come in and ask stuff. And depending on the questions, I could do a tutorial. I don't know though. Let's go over the block editor a little bit. If you click on the tile, you can actually say what it does. If it is a step, platform, mod, spike. I think you get the idea, and it's also very good described in the document. Event 50. Did it show it in the picture before? But if you go to it's 0. Yeah, it's like stairs up. And what you have to keep in mind, yeah, this goes to here. This exit number says, okay, I have to use entrance 3. The next level is 3, entrance 0. And if you go to different entrances, let's say we have entrance 1. If you wonder where it actually goes, you can also use the def entrance. Put it to 1, save it. I use this a lot for testing reason and just to make it more quickly. Let's make a hole in the beginning so we can kill ourselves faster. Then we cut, this is the backward entrance. You will discover this very quick. Then if you would want to look it up, here there is event number 15 somewhere. There, and this time see it's sub event 2. If you go to 2, it's all wrong. Here it is. It says actually stairs down. This is the compare value. We can have this stairs further down or up. And it's also described in the in my tutorial there. And if you go to one, we have here, you see, it goes back to level. I didn't explain the HUDs, didn't I? What's up here in the green? You see the level number, and you see the first number. One is in hex and one isn't. And when you edit things, you always edit things in hex, how they are in the ROM file. I cannot even say what this is actually. But it tells you the level size. Just information. To make a new entrance, you actually need to run the internal emulator. Otherwise, it will not really work. There are like 2 values missing, and it can screw up your ROM a little bit if you just type in the numbers. It's the easier way to do it anyway, like here. But let's say you want to have an entrance here. We know 0 is used, from the right side 1 is used. And we want to progress to the right side. It does alternate from when you enter, from which side the events are loaded. So if I use 3, I will move to the right direction. There will be a little screw ups. But all I need to do is actually record, and it will do the values for me. If I want to start from here, actually I don't want to have the first section, so I can set the left camera to a value like 300. Yeah, I had the internal emulator running. 300 was too much, so go back to 200, and you will see the yellow line. Or maybe you want the section bigger, so you have to right camera to 600. And yes, you can use those. And empty space there. There is nothing right now, but you just can make new ground here. Maybe we make a hole to just show it. And you want to play test from here, so you always enter 0. Make this 2. I hope it makes sense. I hope I can cut it together. So me and tutorials. Save, run. Kill ourselves. And we'll start from here. But you see all the enemies. It is kind of stupid. It's not a very well done level, let's say it like that. Let me see. Oh, there is an exit up there. Actually, I don't want the exit up there. I want to have it before. But here I have a new section. I can do what I want with it. So this is all very cool. Since I can just do things like this from the event editor, add event, put it down here, so I have this enemy here. Things like that. I think you get what I mean. Yeah, let's go to the property, and I have cut my room. This room should be shorter, since I want to have little sections, maybe a bit more difficult. So the right camera will cut down to 200, no, to 100 only. And I need to have an exit here. We know we have this exit here. I put it here. The sort events, and we will look at what 0 does again. It stares up and it compares when I go up to the screen. So it should just work here too. So I just need to put down some stairs there. It's actually very easy. Take some stairs here. Go back. Yeah, we'll just put them in here. I didn't explain any of the how to use it, but I did show you where you can read it, and I will recommend that you use those documents if you have trouble with the interface. Yeah, I will put it near here so I know this is for the exit. Okay, yeah, we'll test it now and test it again after the next step. It just works as expected. If I go down here, I will be back here. And every entrance does have its own camera lock. And if you want to change it within the level, so if you move to a place, you could do this with the camera lock events. The best way to show it is actually go to a level where it's in there. Like if you go to entrance 0, you will see the camera lock is actually, it doesn't go down here. And you have these two events here, 31 and 31 with the sub IDs down here. It is very similar to the exits we already went through. So if you have sub ID here, you go to sub ID 3, and you can adjust those values. And the description is not very friendly. I had also a very hard time learning it, and I think, let's say, I'm interested in camera locks. You know, it's 31. What did he write? It's down here. Let's look at the picture. I just write down this. Oh, you're screwed. Oh man, I should have made this better then. You would find it on my actual tutorial. Like if you go here and you go, where is it? Properties, exit, camera locks, and there you have the description, what everything does. And based on that, we should do it. And if you really struggle, you should join the Discord or something, and then I may make a proper tutorial since you don't know how to do it. So, but I don't see me wasting more time. I could talk about bugs that easily happen if you open the property menu the same time accidentally, and then I don't know really how it happened, but sometimes oh yeah, it makes the level timer to 0 if you close it in the wrong order. I think I managed to do it now. The timer will be 0. This will screw up your room. You will not be able to. As you enter the room, you're actually dead. You're in a different state. It screws up your room. You will not, till you put a number in here, you're not be able to play again. That's something that screwed me over big time once. And there are a lot of other things that screwed me over big time. I did a lot of talking, and this was more an experiment again, like me trying to do tutorials. I hope I can cut the most important things together and make it shorter and better. There they are. Nobody says anything. Does my mic work? I wanted to show people so they may get the idea that I can do ROM hacks, and the plan was to, oh yeah, I screwed up the ROM. Very good that I just can show it. It's because of, that's why you should do backups. But I can show you how we recover this, like you close that one, you go to your folder. I mean, editors are not very complicated. I delete the screwed up ROM, go to my backup folder, get this one out. Because I never made a backup since I started the tutorial, I have to start from scratch. It's very easy. Look, you open the editor, you download it. I show as everything should be later in the description. You open the ROM. When it's open, I did explain why you have to expand it. You do that. Then you put your rings, but you can look up in other level how it's made. Put the ring here by changing it this to 3. Save it, play test it. Maybe because it looks screwy, we do the palette. That's wrong. Put the right color here too. Save again. Then you can already play test and play around with your ring you made. Maybe you should put some enemies, since this is very boring. But you don't have to use the stairs now. You can just swing on the platform like a king. If there wouldn't be stairs. Dang. Actually, kind of hard to not get stuck on the stairs. Is it even possible? I think it's not. Stupid mechanics. When you let go of the ring, you kinda land always on the stairs without pressing up. I didn't know that before. I always thought you have to press up. If you want to see my gameplay better, I could actually zoom in. Oh well, I wanted to cut the stream anyway. This was not very I think it will end up on YouTube, maybe, if it's good enough.